Hello and welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to be going through a bunch of my sketchbooks that I have. Some of them are filled, some of them are started, and most of them I haven't even touched yet. I've accumulated a lot of sketchbooks over the years. I started collecting them back in high school, I think, so some of these are really old, but I've only gotten recently into using sketchbooks for actual art instead of just doodling. So most of the ones I have currently are watercolor type sketchbooks. I don't do watercolor, but they're good for gouache, and I just enjoy the thicker paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to categorize based on where I am in some of these sketchbooks and the medium. So these three are completed, but I'll get back to them in a bit. This next pile is all ones that are in process in some way, shape, or form. Some of them I'm actually working through, and others are just sketchbooks to play around in. But yeah, those ones are currently, at least have one painting or something in them. And then this last pile is all the ones that I haven't touched at all. So I have collected a bunch, and I hope to eventually, one day in my lifetime, get through them all. And this last one I haven't even opened yet, so you can see how new some of these sketchbooks are. And I just realized I had 3 more sketchbooks. These ones are like my junk journals where I do like swatching or just like some other doodles. I don't really show them that much, but you'll see a little bit of them. Okay, so the first pile, these are ones that I've already completed, and some of the pages in here I don't want to show, but this first sketchbook was a bunch of my ink drawings back when I did Inktober a couple years ago, and the paper is really bad for ink, but I just wanted to play around with the medium and see what I can make with it. And so I have like liquid ink and then pen ink in here. And I got this sketchbook at Michael's a couple years back, so I don't know if they make this anymore. And the next sketchbook I'm going to show you is one that I made myself. I just followed a bookbinding tutorial online, and so I did a Coptic stitch, I think it's called, and I just used some watercolor paper. I think it was Strathmore 400 series, and I didn't have a bone tool, the little awl, and so a lot of my pages are wrinkled like this page right here. But I really like how you can see the stitching going through some of the paintings. I don't know, it just adds a little bit to it to me. I have a video on this sketchbook. It's my first video, so if you want to see the entire thing, you can see it there. This next sketchbook is one I haven't posted yet, but it's a Strathmore. Some of the pages are falling apart, and so I'm not really a fan of the soft cover. I think that causes it to, fall apart a bit more. There's a quick look through of some of it, and I have these napkins and paper towels everywhere because I was using Hemi gouache and the jelly cup gouache, and it was just spreading onto the other side, and so I need to varnish my pages before I'm done with this. But here's a quick look through of some of the pages. I really like the Strathmore watercolor paper used in here. I noticed I was having trouble using jelly cup gouache in here, but the paper ended up taking acrylic gouache really well, and I was surprised about that, so that's what I used for most of it. It also used Holbein gouache good too. But yeah, this is a Strathmore 400 series. Again, I don't like the cover. it takes any dent that you give it. Next, I'm going to show you two more of my gouache sketchbooks. I'm going to show you the one I'm currently working on. I have this paper right here because this has like private information on the front, and I haven't covered it with stickers yet. But this one I am working on for my last Japan trip. It's like a Japan travel sketchbook after the whole like travel. I'm using mostly Turner acrylic gouache in here, and I used Canson mixed media paper to make this sketchbook. It's very wrinkly, you can see, but it ends up taking the acrylic gouache really well, which I wasn't expecting. I usually hate mixed media paper because it just warps so badly whenever I do paintings on them. But I don't know, I kind of like how it turned out here, and so I think my next sketchbooks I might be doing mixed media as well. I always find it fun to make my own sketchbooks just because I have total control over the paper I use, how many pages, and the size. It's hard for me to find a sketchbook I love, and so I tend to make them now. And the sketchbook has a couple swatch pages in the back, and I did that because I wanted to know what colors I had when I was in Japan, just so that I didn't get duplicates. But yeah, this is the completed sketchbook. You can see it doesn't stay flat, it wants to open up, but that's okay because I have the little elastic band to go around it, and it's just very easy for me to transport. And this is the other sketchbook I had that I was planning on bringing, but it's too big for my backpack. This is the Strathmore 400 series again. It's the same as the soft cover, except it's a nice hardcover and I don't have to worry about all the dings on the front. The paper also seems better. Like, it doesn't seem like it's falling apart at the inside of the sketchbook like I was noticing on the other one. One thing I did notice is that it has a different texture on each of the pages, and so you can tell that one side was touching the machine when they were like rolling it, and then the other side is more of like the pulpy texture. I don't really know how to explain it. It's just that one side is more machine made and the other is more natural. So if that bothers you, this probably isn't the best sketchbook. But yeah, again, here are a couple of swatches I have. I have my Iridori right here, and some Turner Artist Gouache that I don't use. And then all of my acrylics, and my Japanese gouache, which I haven't used in a while, but I need to get back into. But yeah, I don't have any actual paintings in this one yet. I plan on using this for another travel sketchbook once I get a bigger bag, and I already know I'll probably love this sketchbook, so I ended up getting 3 more. I don't know, I just really like the soft cover, and I thought I might as well just stock up while I had the chance. I got these when Michaels had their sketchbooks buy one get one free, and so it's really hard to find these at a good price, but I mean, that was the cheapest I've ever been able to find them. And this next sketchbook, this one I've had since high school, so it's been a while. Still haven't touched it at all. This one's very hard to find now. I can only find it on Amazon. It's a 8.5 by 11 inch sketchbook, so this one's pretty big for me. I've just been intimidated by the size of it, so I haven't been able to touch it yet. This next sketchbook is another one I made. I used Strathmore watercolor paper with it, and this is actually the first sketchbook I've ever made. Haven't used it yet, but I plan on using it in the future. I really like that it lays flat and that there's no gap in between the pages. I have no idea how I did that, and I wish I could replicate it again. But I highly recommend making your own sketchbooks. These next two were an impulse buy. I just really like the color and the size of them. These are the Reflections sketchbooks, and they are 300 GSM, which is one of the thickest pages you can get for watercolor. I don't like anything below 300 GSM for my sketchbooks. I just really hate the warping. What's nice about this one is it has a back pocket in case there's anything loose that I want to put in it, like business cards or just like anything I find that's interesting. One thing I really hate about this sketchbook is that it's perforated. I know some people might like that, you can just rip the page out if you want, but this really bothers me because if I want to spread the pages flat, it starts to bend that perforation, and I'm afraid that the pages are going to fall out. It's actually worse on this bigger one. I'll show you real quick. Yeah, you can see just how easily it starts to bend, and I just feel like the pages are going to fall out. So I don't know about these. I'll see how I like them. I'll probably do a review on them once I finally get around to trying them out. Okay, so we're done with the gouache/watercolor sketchbooks. These are all ones that I've turned into oil painting sketchbooks. Again, I hate paper that is less than 300 GSM. So this Reflection sketchbook, it's 110 GSM. It just wouldn't work for normal painting for me, and you can see that I tried a little bit. I think that's Hemi gouache on that page, either that or ink, but I got so fed up with it that I just decided to cover my pages with gesso. And I got inspired by watching an artist, Cesar Santos, on YouTube, where he had a series about some of the oil painting sketchbooks that he has going on. And so I got interested in doing that. Something I noticed is this paper is not great, and so the acidity from it is starting to leach into the whites of the oil paint. So it makes it pretty yellow, and it has done that over time. Some of the pages haven't had that issue, and I think it's because I added more gesso to it. So like these two are pretty different. The one on the right has a bit more yellow to the entire gray tone. But yeah, I use these for small studies, just when I want to try doing something in black and white while I'm waiting for another painting to finish drying. So I usually have like 4 or 5 paintings going on at once. This is another one that I kind of abandoned. It's yellowed very rapidly. This is one that I have in planned, and this is just a quick color study that I was doing. The biggest downside to making a oil painting sketchbook is it will keep all of the oil painting fumes inside of it, and so every time I open this up, especially the pages that have like actual color pigments on it, I am just overwhelmed with the smell of like solvent and linseed oil. It's just soaked into these pages. So I just, like with any oil painting, if you want to have a sketchbook like this, just be sure to do it in a well ventilated area. These next two are Artist Loft sketchbooks, the ones that are like, they used to be $5, they're now like $6 or $7 at Michael's. I used to have a lot of these growing up, and the paper quality is just complete garbage. So I've been putting a bunch of gesso on these. I think I do around 4 to 5 layers, and normally with actual oil paintings I only do around 3 to 4. I'm just a bit paranoid about the paper acidity leaching onto the paintings. And I'm really sad because this is the first painting I've ever done as a study in a sketchbook, and the oil just turned completely yellow because of how much acidity leached into the paints. But yeah, I'm just really sad because I really liked how this one turned out, and it's just very yellow. It's even worse on these two pages. You can see very clearly how the paper just turned it yellow in some spots. But even still, I think having an oil painting sketchbook is a really good idea. It's really good to just be able to knock some ideas out very quickly. I try not to spend too much time in them. I actually really love this blue and pink painting of my cat. It's one of my favorites. And then here's another black and white study of it that has also yellowed. So I'm a bit confused because the black and white studies I do are all turning yellow, but not my colored ones. Maybe it's just because I can't tell the difference though. I still have a lot more sketchbooks to go through, but I'm gonna have to make this into two different parts, so be on the lookout for the next video. Here's a sneak peek of what I'll be covering, where I use mostly dry mediums. Here's all of the sketchbooks that we got through today. They were all of the watercolor and oil painting sketchbooks, and then I have this small amount left over. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!